Recently, we told you about New York Governor Kathy Hochul formally apologizing for the atrocities she says were committed at an upstate boarding school where Native American youths were forcibly separated from their families and demanded they assimilate into American society. In 1871, the Fort Sill Indian School was opened not miles from here with much the same mandate to change the culture, including dress, language, and the appearance of the children sent there under the guise of education. With us tonight is Yolanda Ramos. She is the executive director of the Kiowa Comanche Apache Intertribal Land Use. Wanted to get all that in there. And she is here to talk to us about the situation there and to tell me, do you feel like the governor of Oklahoma should apologize to the natives here?
Yes, absolutely. I feel like that there was an incredible amount of abuse and neglect that the children went through in the early years at the Fort Sill Indian School. So yes, absolutely.
I visited the school and found there is a lot more there than meets the eye. While you hear these girls pray in their native language, think about children just like them 154 years ago who were forced to only speak English.
Whenever they brought the children here, they were made to cut their hair, they were punished for speaking their language, and they weren't allowed to celebrate their culture at all.
Everything that made them who they were, history, heritage, and their future as natives, stripped from them with no one to dry their tears.
I spoke to an elder he just turned, I think, 92 or 93, and he had told me a story about the arch. And so the arch, we pulled it out of the creek last year, and the arch is 90 years old, but he was telling me a story about he would look down the road towards that arch and he would just cry and wish that his mom would come to get him and come to see him, and that never happened.
As we talked to Ramos, she repeatedly spoke of the loss of their hair, girls and boys alike. When I asked why that was so important, she said their hair is considered sacred. To this day, they are very wary about anyone touching it, and they don't cut it. 12 children were in the school when it opened. As the years passed, 200 to 300 called the boarding school home. She said home and family is what many lost when they came here, and a lot of them never made it back.
There are some graves that are in the back of our land. Our staff hasn't seen those graves in a few years, but our goal is to uncover those graves. We've heard a lot of different stories about how when kids were sick with smallpox, that they couldn't send them home to their families, and so they had to bury them back there on the lands. And so we do want to get those graves uncovered so that we can show our proper respects to those children.
This is the oldest building on the land. If you look through the tree limbs, you will see a chute built on the side. Ramos says the elders tell stories of sick, dying, or dead children wrapped in sheets and sent down that chute. In latter years, children were no longer forced to attend this school.
I wasn't forced to come out here. I chose to come out here because I wanted to be amongst natives, among my own people, and that's why I came out here.
We visited the gym. One of the buildings, Tadunanipa said, was haunted. Before going in, Ikwipsa was ground up, and each of the natives put a dot on their wrists, ankles, back, and head to protect them from any spirits in the building. Once inside, we see some of the murals that have been uncovered, and 7 News photographer Tatiana Sharstein braved the rickety steps to see what was downstairs. It was an old locker room that had been added in the 80s. No, there were no ghosts seen.
When the lights went out, that's when you can hear things. I heard little kids laughing. There wasn't no little kids there. And the gym, there's all kinds of activities in that gym that you can't explain. I can't explain what goes on in there. So.
Each of the buildings, as well as the land, seemed to hold memories of those days when children cried for parents who didn't or couldn't come. One of the girls we spoke to while we were there said being out here brings mixed emotions.
Some of the stuff, it could be cool, but at the same time, some of it could be like sad how like people got tortured.
Yolanda, I am so honored that you allowed me to tell this story. There's so much that we couldn't tell, obviously, like some families who built PTs or put teepees down the road so they could come and see their children. What is your hope for the school or the land's future?
I am hoping that we can revitalize and restore the lands that belong to the Kiowas, Comanches, and Apaches. We have formed a foundation for the school called Tereti Haniaika, and it means to build for the children. And so our goal is to build them a school on those lands.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.